All right, so I'm on holidays now and I'm so glad, and I wanted to start, kick this off with a non-political reading. I'm just saying. So, one of the other YouTubers on here, I am pretty sure it was Tarot's Apprentice. If I'm wrong, let me know who it actually was, and I'll acknowledge the right person in a pinned comment or something. But he suggested that, the rest of us readers take a look at Ms. Pamela Colman Smith. Now, the cool thing about Pamela Colman Smith and why this is so relevant to tarot is because she is the artist for this particular deck. This is the rider-waite deck. Now, Pamela Smith, I have my, I got my book out here, was brought up in Jamaica and during her early teens traveled with the stage acting partnership of Ellen Terry and Henry Irving. By the age of 21, Miss Smith was established in England as a theatrical designer and illustrator. Her interest in theater led her to collaborate with other people on stage designs. So she was like in demand. She was commissioned to do all kinds of artistic works. She was very talented. And so this rider-waite tarot deck, created by Dr. Arthur Edward Waite. I don't really know what the other person's name was, but their last name was Ryder. Sort of had come up with this and had commissioned her to paint, the images that we see on all 78 cards. And she did these under like instruction from Dr. Waite. He, I guess, would have like a vision or something of what each card was supposed to have on it or what he wanted on it. And my guess is that he maybe wasn't very artistic or that she was just way better at it than him. So he sought her out and got her to do this. And that was about 1910, maybe a little bit before then. And yeah, here we are. This is one of the most popular tarot decks used. And this is the tarot deck that I learned how to read from. And I find it really easy for me. I connect really well with the Rider-Waite deck and all of its symbolism and things like that. So, I guess introduction aside, I'm going to take a look at Ms. Pamela Colman Smith. This is, I just heard in my head, this is going to turn into a mediumship reading, so this could be really exciting. Yeah, I'm just going to lay some cards in and start. So I think we're going to take a look at her life on Earth first. Got a card that doesn't surprise me at all. At all. Okay, hang on. Okay, well, some of these make some sense to me, and some of these maybe don't. So we'll figure them out together, I think. The first two I have, first of all, the Ace of Pentacles. She was gifted an opportunity from Spirit. And it's a pentacle, right? So this talks about money, could be money, but like an opportunity for prosperity, an opportunity for some kind of abundance. And Pentacles are the earth suit, so it was a bit of an earthly pursuit. And what I'm thinking that was talking about was how she was a very gifted artist from the sounds of things, and how she was commissioned to work on all kinds of projects for all kinds of people. And, you know, this is sort of like how she made her living. She could live, like, she just, like, I'm just feeling an abundance of creative ideas. And, yeah, she lived really well off of her artistic talents. Sometimes this position, like, that goes over top of the first card, is my crossing energy, or like some kind of opposing energy. But what I am actually feeling from this one this time is that it's more of like a complementary. So like it goes well with this first one, this prosperity and stuff. This is saying that there was like a big project on the horizon for her. There was something that was coming her way that it's just like, how do I word this? Okay, spirit, angels, what? Okay. So I had told you guys like how the book gave just a basic look at, you know, some of her art career and stuff. When she was doing stage design and this and that, I get the feeling that she enjoyed it, but it was like she felt like there was something more that she could do. There was like something bigger that she wanted to be part of. And there was something, the reason that she was feeling like this is because at the same time that she was thinking this and feeling this, there really was something big coming for her, and it was just like on the horizon. And that to me seems to be the illustration of these tarot cards, because this art from her, this all of this work that she put into it over 100 years later, and we are still, you know, looking at it, we're still seeing it, we're still learning from it and reading off of it. I have what like was in her mind, what sort of was like her mental state generally for the most part. I have the Queen of Swords. I got the feeling she was pretty blunt. Like, when she spoke. She said what she thought. And now, 100 years ago and stuff, women weren't necessarily encouraged to be that way. To be, you know, say it like it is, call a spade, call it whatever. There's a little bit of loneliness too. So I get the feeling that she's always very different. And that's something that I'm hearing from Spirit, is that she's very different. And that sort of maybe made her feel a little bit alienated from other people sometimes. And something else, these two came out together, kind of. They go together. So first of all, the High Priestess, that's the intuition sort of card and strength. She was psychic, yo. She's very strong intuition, this woman. Very, I'm hearing that she was very empathic and was able to sort of pick up on people's emotions, people's intentions is something else that I'm hearing. I'm really curious. Who is actually speaking, like, to me right now? Who's giving me this information? Because I feel like Pamela herself is here, but she's, like, sort of just watching the reading from a respectable distance. Guides and guardian angels. Okay, so it's my spirit guides, my guardian angels. I'm getting the image of she's whispering in their ear and they're telling this to me. So that's really interesting. I don't know why all of this, but I'm just telling you that's what I'm getting. So yeah, strong intuition, just very blunt, told it like it was. And my Queen of Swords card, it's like somebody who's, I don't want to say that she was brutally honest, but there were times where her honesty was a little bit offensive to the person who was on the receiving end of it. I don't know why I get such a kick out of that, but I do. I really do. I wanted to take a look at her early life, like her childhood leading up to her young adulthood. This is suggesting that she was a joyful child. But, you know, her childhood wasn't without its conflicts and its struggles. Maybe I'll pull a card on that, just see if we can get any more fun facts about that, but that was followed up by Temperance. So there was stuff that happened in her childhood. Overall, she was quite joyful, right? But there were some things that happened. And this is the Knight of Swords. And this is actually one of my cards for, sometimes it's fighting and arguing, or sometimes it's somebody who's like verbally aggressive. So I am wondering if there was somebody in her life who was, I don't know, maybe like verbally abusive or just very, the energy I'm getting is that there was somebody in her life who just wasn't very tactful with words, was really like, okay, so in my heart, I just got the feeling, like how it feels when somebody says something to you that like actually hurts your feelings, or the way that they come across hurts your feelings. There was somebody in her life that was like that, but she has since healed from it. This suggests that her family life, I don't know if they were rich or something, but there seems to have been quite a bit of security in the family, and that her family would have a legacy that would carry on. Or I'm getting also the family name. It was like something that would just carry on. I want to pull a clarifier on that Knight of Swords, because I have my suspicions, but I don't want to say anything until I know what the cards say. Okay. So, inner childhood, Knight of Swords. This is one of my cards for marriage. So it was one or both parents. I'm just listening to Spirit. They loved her, but they didn't necessarily, there was somebody, they loved her, but there was somebody who did not speak very gently to her, and the way that they spoke to her did cause her some pain. But Spirit is saying we don't need to go too deep into that, because this is saying that she has healed from it. So then I pulled for her adult life. So from the time she was a young adult, so about like 20 till, I guess, until she died. Conflict with a man. And as a result, she felt pretty trapped. Now, these are the cards that I am thinking we can help understand together. After that, I had the Seven of Pentacles, so some kind of evaluations, or like some kind of a harvest came in, and then the Sun. So a happier outcome, even though she felt like she was in, the word I got was constant conflict with some man, and she felt really trapped by it. So I'm going to pack these cards and see if they might answer our questions on that a little bit. Angels and guides, can I actually like communicate with Pamela herself? Can she come through and talk to me? Yes. Okay. Oh, and that is weird. The sun, as soon as I heard Spirit saying yes, I can communicate with her, the sun just came out. Card on the bottom is heartbreak. So there was like and another man, like a suitor. Sometimes this is my boyfriend card, but the word that came to me when I saw this was a suitor. There's a heartbreak. So I wonder if she was like severely disappointed by a young man or something. But anyways, we're gonna pull. Now, this is, am I talking to you now, Pamela? Yes. And I'm seeing an image of her. She has like kind of darker skin, and she's wearing something on her head. It looks like a hat, but it's not like a full head covering, but it's like a scarf. She has her hair tied up in this scarf, and it's like blue and gold, and it's really, really beautiful. and her hair is like all twisted up in this scarf. So that's nice. I got an image of her, so I'm really glad. Thank you for coming in and for talking to me. I hope that you are able to, I know you are able to answer my questions. I hope I can interpret them the way that you intend, and I'm sure this will be fine. So can you tell us, what was it about your adult life? There was that conflict, there was feeling trapped, and there was a man, there was evaluations, and there was the sun. Whoa, I had a whole bunch just come slipping out. So, okay, so I laid these all out. We have the wish come true. Hermit. Now, this one, in this particular case, I'm getting the energy that this was a person. So, the wish come true, whoop, the person hired her, and it was something he was very serious about. And the fact that this was a wish come true for her, or it was something that was going to be ultimately very satisfying and fulfilling for her to do. And the impression that I am getting is when it came to being commissioned to, well, to work on these tarot cards, yeah, when it came to like work on these tarot cards, I guess is what she is saying to me. All right. Then I have, there was some insecurity about this new creative beginning for her. She was worried about, there was a worry about money, okay? And it's not just because I'm seeing Pentacles on here. There was a worry about money regarding this new creative endeavor, because this took a lot of time, she says. This took a lot of time. And, you know, when something like that does take a lot of time, and you maybe don't have, again, enough time to work other jobs and make money in other ways while you're doing this, you might be feeling insecure, like, how am I going to make ends meet? You know, if I'm not, and something else now we're going to get into. She was worried about being, I guess the best word to put is lowballed. She was worried about being scammed and not being paid well. So right off the start, she said she stood up for herself and was like, okay, well, I'm wondering if she had suggested some upfront pay as well as pay after all of her art was done. Because she was very worried about getting tricked and being deceived. And, you know, back in those days, like over 100 years ago, women did not necessarily have all of the same rights as men. And in a situation like that, and it would, I'm just listening. She says, it would have been my word against his. And she was very worried about that. She was worried that he wasn't going to pay her fairly, and that, you know, she was going to have to fight for, well, the higher ground, fight for her sort of payment. Anyways, so she had worried about that. She addressed it. This was like, off you go with this new idea. So this was the new creative beginning before she had started doing all the art, and this is now when she had addressed her issues with Dr. Waite, and, you know, maybe he was able to help her out with, like, okay, I'll pay you a little bit up front to show you that I am serious about this, that I'm going to be honest, and, you know, about paying you and stuff like that. And so she felt like she was okay to go ahead and do this. I'm getting, if she still felt like she didn't trust him, she wouldn't have agreed to do this for him. So she did ultimately decide, okay, I'll do this for you. And she decided to just trust him. So she went forward with it. Now, this is my card for the past. There are images on this particular rider-waite tarot, and that's things like the wands, the swords, the pentacles, the cups, that came from prior versions of tarot decks and tarot cards from other times in history. So, like, tarot is not a new thing. People have been doing this sort of thing since, I think it goes back to like the 1300s. And so there were elements that have been used in tarot cards and divination cards from the past that she integrated, and that she was meant also to integrate into her project. And this is something that was like fate for her. So do you remember in the beginning of the reading, and I had, you know, the prosperity card of the hand holding the money, and then there was that ships coming in? Well, that's what was on the horizon, was this really, really big part of her life on Earth. This was a very important job, and not just like a financial, like physical job. No, this is like a job, as in, this is one thing that she was sent Earth to do, was to create the art for this form of divination. And we can see that like a century later it's still being used, and her art is still being used and interpreted, which ultimately led to her success. And I hope that she was very well paid. I'm sure that her estate, you know, even after she had died and stuff, I'm sure her estate still made money off of like sales of these tarot decks and things like that. But then there's like stress and fear. Okay, so what was this all about? What was with that stress and fear? I'm just gonna kind of looking at, whoop, the wind just blew that one away. Kind of looking at the bottom, I just get the feeling the answer to that is on the bottom of the deck. So we have the suitor card again. Defeat or victimized. Again, news that she didn't want to hear. Feeling abandoned. But yet, there was a victory for her that was on the horizon. Okay, so can we know? What was up with that guy? Why did he make you feel that way? Like, what happened there? And I'm getting that it was not the person from her childhood that, you know, was really brash with their words and was really hurtful with their words. This is somebody else. This was somebody from her adulthood. So it really was like a potential partner. I'm getting that she rejected him. So, okay, she had rejected him. That's what I heard. And now I understand. Knight of Cups, this is like, it looked ideal, and he looked like a real, like, Prince Charming and this and that. I pulled Six of Pentacles. He wanted to take care of her. He wanted to take care of her. So, okay, and it was because, not, I don't know necessarily because, like, he loved her and didn't want for her to have to work and stuff for financial security, but he wanted to take care of her, but to her, that meant sort of taking away her independence. Because his intentions, I am seeing and feeling that his intentions were, yeah, I'll take care of you if you have my children and raise them and be this housewife that I want you to be. She didn't really like that idea. So what I'm getting is that she turned him down. And I'm getting there were multiple marriage like proposals. I'm feeling that he asked her multiple times and she said no. And to him that was a defeat. He felt very very like victimized, kind of like, I am this, like, and I'm getting that he was like a popular man. Like a lot of women would have thrown themselves at him and be like, oh my god, yeah, you can take care of me, I'll have your kids, no problem, oh my god, yeah, like, wow, let's do this now. But she was not like that, and he didn't like that she had said no. He felt like she had abandoned him, and like she was just leaving him out in the cold. Okay, so why did that... Oh, and another one. There's the star, there's the hope card, because she had bigger aspirations, bigger dreams. And back then, okay, so nowadays, it's totally okay. Like, women can choose to, you know, only have the career and remain single and not have children or not marry. That's okay. But now, women can have it all. You know, women in this society can have a career, they can have a husband and children, they can still do all of that which they want to do because they have the rights and the freedoms to do so. But that's not how society necessarily was around the time that all of this happened, where a man wanted to marry her and she said no. Okay? So, why did that cause her to have some stress? Okay, because he had a lot of money. He was very well off. And she was a little worried about, like we talked about earlier, she was worried about, you know, is making these paintings, or, you know, for these divination cards, like, is this going to give me enough money to support myself? She did worry about it, and she worried about, there were times, you know, during this where she worried about, did I make a mistake by saying no to him because, you know, what if I put all of this work into this project and I get scammed, or I don't get paid as much as I need? She was also worried about, not about being poor. She kind of giggles. She was worried about destitution, though. There were many people around her that she knew who were poor and lived in poverty, and I get that she didn't necessarily live in poverty, but she did well enough for herself, but that was just it. It was only enough for herself. So why else was she so stressed? Okay, so yeah, there's that, taking up that new job, taking up that like agreeing to, okay, you commission me to do these paintings for your cards, okay, I will do it. The moon. She didn't know how everything was going to turn out. She didn't know how successful this was going to be. Okay, so the Hierophant, an institution, I'm hearing the church, burden, sadness, and loss. Okay, Did you go, were you part of a church or something, and when they found out this is what you were doing, they cast you out? Because that is definitely the impression I'm getting. And remember, we learned in the beginning of that reading that she was very psychic and she was highly intuitive, and that is not something that religious people agreed with. That was not something that the church, the Christian church, really still isn't really on board with that. Imagine back then when, yeah, there's that stress on the bottom, feeling embattled. Yeah, I can just imagine back then when so many more people were religious and took that so seriously, that there were a lot of people around her who were like, you shouldn't be doing this. This is evil. This is wrong. You're going to get kicked out of the church. You know, they wouldn't have used the words kicked out most likely, but this is, you know, it's how I'm interpreting this. Yeah, on the bottom was the Fool leaving. And then it takes a happier turn, and I'll get there in a sec, because we're running half an hour. But we got the Fool. So she took up this new opportunity, not really knowing where it was going to go. And at the same time, her church and stuff, they're like, okay, this is foolish. And she had to leave. But it was ultimately very successful. There's some victory, there's some success. She got a lot of recognition after this. After, you know, these cards were published and became very popular and well known, she became very popular and well known. And this is suggesting that after that, she lived with a lot more peace and harmony, and she lived with a greater peace of mind, knowing that she did what she felt she was called to do. And, you know, she did something that honestly has effects that continue to this day. I mean, sure, there would probably still be tarot decks, and there are all kinds of tarot decks, but a lot of them are based on rider-waite. This is like the modern, really popular, like, modern tarot deck that people still continue to use and learn from today. And I don't think she ever expected that 100 years down the road her work would still be so popular and so appreciated. And on the other side, I'm just getting that she does act as a bit of a guide for people who are beginning to learn tarot, and even for people who are seasoned readers and just need that extra spiritual support. She is willing to help. She is I get that she understands all of these cards thoroughly, inside and out.